these systems. And for that reason, we want to be sure that we're using the most efficient method of communication. It's very common, for example, to put the NAS or the SAN on its own isolated network, and it's commonly a network that has very high bandwidths. If you're in your office and you look at the ceiling, you might see a device like this. This is an access point. This device allows us to communicate wirelessly from our device to the rest of the network. This is not the wireless router that you might be using at home, which is a router and a wireless access point and a switch in the same device. When you're in larger enterprise environments, you're usually using a device that is purpose-built for a single function. And having an access point means that we're using this for wireless communication and wireless communication only. On the other side of this wireless access point is very commonly an Ethernet connection. So this is bridging communication between the wireless network and the wired Ethernet network. That's why we refer to access points as an OSI Layer 2 device or a data link layer device, because it's making that translation between the 802.11 wireless network and the 802.3 Ethernet network. In most businesses of any size, you probably have more than one access point. That's because you probably have a very large building or series of buildings, and you need to be sure that everyone is able to access that wireless network wherever they happen to be inside of these buildings. But this means that we have to manage many different wireless access points wherever they might be in our local network or in a remote site network. And we might need to manage security settings, access policies, and other configuration parameters within that access point. We also have users that may be very mobile and moving between different parts of the building or moving from one building to the other, and we need to make sure that they can seamlessly roam from one access point to the other so that they are always connected to the network. Instead of connecting to each individual access point to make these configuration changes or manage this process, we can have a centralized management tool that allows us to manage all of our access points from one central place. This is a wireless LAN controller, and it gives us that single pane of glass so that we can manage the entire infrastructure while we're sitting in one chair. From this single device, we can deploy new access points with a full configuration. We might want to set up performance or security monitoring and be alerted if we happen to see anything across any of our access points. We can also take any changes that we need to make and deploy those automatically to all of our access points with one click of the mouse. This also allows us very commonly to create reports on how much our access points are being used and be able to understand if we need to update or change any of our access point locations. These are often proprietary systems, so if we have an access point from one particular manufacturer, then we're also using the wireless LAN controller that is also from that same manufacturer.